This is really about being free to create what you want your life to look like. We each are our own hero. And how do we take the challenges that come our way and see those as the birth process of us becoming heroic? Can you meet that judgment that ultimately will surface with neutrality?
This is the Wall Street Coach Podcast with Kim and Curtin.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Wall Street Coach with Kim and Curtin and Lucas Peterson, my sidekick. How are you today, Lucas?
Doing really well. How are you?
Very good, because I have an amazing, brilliant man on our podcast today, Howard Lindzon, who I have been, mini stalking for probably 20 some odd years, and got to meet Howard when I invited him first to the Stocks to Trade podcast. And now I'm very excited to have Howard on my podcast. So thank you, Howard, for coming.
How are you?
I'm good. You're in Coronado. I just consciously noticed that.
You know this house. You've seen this house.
I have seen this house.
I snuck away to try and catch up on work and change up my routine in lovely Phoenix. So I swapped Arizona sun for California sun.
Okay. Is it cool in California right now?
The sun is a little less bright because they tax it here to when it's less bright. California is beautiful right now, man.
I was curious if that cold snap had hit California.
No, it's unseasonably, since I got here, unseasonably nice, 75.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. It's clear skies.
Nice. Good. All right. So one of the prompts, I would love to have you on all the time, Howard, because I feel you have a lot of wisdom to share. And I also was prompted because of what went down with Robinhood a couple of weeks ago. And just to set the stage, our audience for the most part are day traders. We definitely have some sophisticated traders that watch us who have been doing it a long time. And we have a lot of new traders, newbie traders as well. So that's kind of our audience. And, just the activity that's been out there about what happened with Wall Street Bets and GameStop and Robinhood. I, obviously know you're a shareholder. I just thought it'd be great to hear your perspective of how that all went down. And, just what your observations are now, a couple of weeks out of it.
Well, as a shareholder, I don't have, I'm an early shareholder, but I'm not in the war room or boardroom or have no influence on the day-to-day of the company. And a lot of my friends that were there, moved on as what happens at fast growth companies. They spend 5, 6, 7 years there, they get worn out and go start something new. So I think you'll, but it's one of those things that, I just don't understand fully the complexity. You would probably know more than me. And the markets are complex. They put a beautiful button on top of the markets, which led to, over the last 3-4 years, a surge in new people getting interested in the market and Robinhood copycats, and got the combination of social networks, et cetera. And this is just a classic short squeeze. The people that started the squeeze, or at least really like GameStop, were long gone in the 40s. They thought that thing was, we got it right. So, like, anybody who really, beyond 40 was like, it was just a madhouse. Like, so it was just a classic fear, greed, short squeeze that went internet scale. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the fascinating. I was a bystander. I don't get involved in these things. I scalped a little bit just to feel alive.
Same here. It was way too dangerous, but
yeah, it wasn't so dangerous for me because I don't do big size, and I just wanted to participate in it. And the agony is that, like, a bell went off somewhere and deposits had to be made, and I think. I won't defend the communications of Robinhood because I wasn't a part of it. It does as an outsider looking in. It seems like it was a tough situation. I think Vlad probably and the PR team wish they had could look at it again. But I don't know. I haven't been in a crisis situation myself. Every day is a crisis for me, but like there are very many, as you know. and it involved generally just me and my own head. So I'm not involved in these complicated things of how the media, and so it seems like there was a cyclone of bad decisions about how to communicate and who are my customers and where should I talk to them and how do I calm them all down and all these things that just kind of got out of control to the point where I was scared, like, people were yelling at me. Yeah. So, because that's the internet, everybody yells. And, but I think what happened is a classic short squeeze. The people that feel screwed, I totally get it. Like the stock could have gone to 700 if they had just let the squeeze continue. It would have led to just even more tears for somebody. So that doesn't mean that, I don't know, if you traded long enough, you've been just run over by the market or a change of rules or you didn't read this prospectus, and no one reads a prospectus, but you were supposed to read it, therefore you have a class action lawsuit. So markets are there to just like the Dead Sea. If you have a cut and you shave the day before you go in the Dead Sea, the Dead Sea will find your cut. And I think the market will find your vulnerabilities. The internet found a vulnerability in the short squeeze of GameStop. They generally find these vulnerabilities. They got exploited at internet scale, and now it's settled back to where it would have settled back with, either way, it would have gone to 800 or 2,000, or that might have been the end anyways, So a lot of tears and a lot of media takes are mostly bad in hindsight, and I want to just pay to not listen to anything until I think I have a clear picture of what it is. But I get it. Robinhood has a scar from the way they communicated this, and I don't know what the right answer is going forward other than continue to build a great product. Obviously, there's not a competing product at scale. Other people they'd be in a lot more trouble.
Yeah, for sure. Do you feel that the heart of what in the sense of it casting this wider net where people, from my housekeeper to a kid who's never even thought about trading before now are thinking, wait a minute, hold on, I'm not in this game. Do you think that's good for the markets? There's some, people on the inside who keep telling me how terrible it is. And then I'm like, but it feels like entrepreneurship next level. So what's your perspective on that?
Well, if this was Take Two, which says shoot 'em up games, and they had their car thing, no one would say more people playing is worse. And so if the markets are a game, and they are, let's take it for what it is. And the idea of the game is to take your account at this low level and take it to that high level. And I don't think you should cheat, but it's not easy. But at the same time, do what you can to get your account from here to there. And some people like to go this way, and some people want to go this way, and some people, there's no one way to do it. Then in that world, the more players, the better. So I don't believe, that's been my mission is for decades, they were like, everybody should learn China. Well, how many, you got to learn Spanish in school? Well, now we have the data, why? Everybody speaks English. And more importantly, shouldn't we have been teaching these kids the native language of English, which is coding, or the native language of money, which is finance? And so, everything's upside down, and that thinking is if the sooner someone learns the markets, which is a universal language, the better. Yeah. And so if that means they're going to lose money in GameStop, fine. They can't lose money unless they're 18. So the more kids could have been doing this even with play accounts or fake accounts, something. So a lot of it is culture. Your parents don't want their kids. They think it's gambling, right? So I have a lot of friends who say, should I let my son, he wants to, he's 15 and wants to have a Robinhood account. Well, he can. So either the parent has to decide, do I put $500 in for my kid? And so a lot of it's just breaking down barriers of, because you got to be 18 to do it.
Yep, totally.
So the more players, the better. The more investors, the better. The more people speaking the language, the better. Yeah. And it's good for me because the more people that speak the language poorly is good.
Yeah. The newer, the better for experience.
Yeah. So I don't want more people just because I can take their money. But it's an added plus. But it's no different if you get off a plane in China and speak 3 words of Chinese. You're not that much better off than the guys who know Chinese.
Exactly. It's true.
Maybe worse off. You may get yourself in more trouble with 3 Chinese words than you do.
It depends on what those words are.
and I think in the market same thing. If your big idea is GameStop, the odds of you being successful very low. And so the quicker people learn that when you hear GameStop, what is that? Just ignore it. Like, oh, nice data point. Have fun. I'm very busy. Yeah. And I think people just get rich quick is just a part of human nature. Yeah. And I think taming that is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
So really, a non-event and people that got screwed, what the hell were they thinking at $300 a share? Yeah. Who was thinking that hold the line or that
that was going to work?
Diamond hands. Yeah, I
don't even know what it means, but pump and Josh Brown had the hot take. It was like, there's no such thing as pump and hold. And
really good. That's so true.
Yeah, there's no such thing as pump and like, let's hold.
That is hilarious.
Especially in an internet world, it's like, I don't know, even know who said that. Therefore,
exactly.
So I think there's a bit of financial chicken, which is fun. That's a new definition.
Yep. I don't think the traders watching us and the ones that, I've encountered along this past year and a half on Stocks to Trade, they would not have been those people. They may have been in there very strategically with GameStop, but they would not have been the Wall Street bets kind of mentality. But for the traders that are sophisticated, that are here listening to us, what do you feel is like the most important advice to those day traders that are sophisticated, that are, going to be here for the long haul? What do you feel is the most important advice they need to know about being a trader?
I think it's just like life. It's like you got to pick your battles, right? There's a time to run. There's a time to engage. So, I run from every fight because I'm like old, Jewish, slow. Is there a worse combo? And punchable. People literally look at me and go, wow, he's old, slow, and he's quite punchable from like a first.
Not that old, dude.
I'm just an easy target. It's like tipping cows. It's like me and they go, go tip that guy. And so I think there's so many choices. So you have to pick your battles, right? And so the best traders they can have 10 screens and never make a trade. So I think the Zen part of day trading or any kind of trading would be, for me, it's like my phone's turned over, right? Zen is like, I'll do my podcasts and friends and brainstorm. But I've learned to live with on or off. It's very hard for me, but I know my Zen is like 2 hours, I cannot look at my phone. 3, it's not even a game. It's just, I'm not missing anything. It was a habit-forming thing to turn over my phone. Yeah. I have no notifications. And so I miss some things, but really, I'm not missing anything. There's probably 3 or 4 major news events a year. Yeah. Maybe 2 that affect the market. If you're day trading, you have your screens. The then part would be to do nothing most of the time. And if you can have 10 screens and do nothing, and I think that's my new goal, is to see more while I do less. Then I can expand my Zenness or my ability to master the markets. But, doing less is key. Like not participating in GameStop, but like figuring out that the AMC thing was in process and taking a stab there.
Yes. I
feel like that was an involvement for me. Like I shared the idea. It was risky, but I can feel the herd coming for this one. Yeah. But you couldn't get me to go back on Wall Street bets for the next 10 years. Like there's no signal there. I get why there's signal, but I'm not. That one was in the moment. It felt like a no-brainer. I don't even know if I'm smart. The trade worked. I got a little bit lucky on the trade too. It just gapped much higher than I would have thought. And I ran away. Yeah. And I didn't question what am I entitled to? Profit is a profit, and I had my goals, and it was and I think as I've gotten better, it's just understanding, what my goals were going into the trade, and good setups and being disciplined. And it's very hard because it's so easy to have ideas coming at you 1,000 a day.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's maturity? Like what is that distinction now that lets you keep your phone turned down? What do you think shifts for you in your own journey?
I mean, the thing is, you go into wealth preservation, not accumulation. So I think and it just people need to be honest. If you're actually chasing wealth and building wealth, everything's more amplified. Your wins are more important, and your losses are horrifying. Now that I'm more, I don't know, mature or older or different wealth outlook, I'm not going to get rich from trading. I'm going to not get rich from the stock market. I'm going to preserve wealth, creative. My goal is creative, wealth preservation and creative alpha. And so I jab and I'm in, and I'm like in for as long as I think is rational. And I don't mind pulling a lot of chips off the table and moving on, because I'm not looking to beat a benchmark.
Yep.
I think the whole idea of like separating myself from what the markets are doing was important. It's like, do I feel good about this idea? And what time frame, and not how I'm comparing myself to the index.
Yes.
I think those things just were important to me.
Yeah.
And so you match like how your inner stomach or your inner anxieties match the markets. And I wasn't good at it on the day-to-day trying to beat the market. And now I beat the market. I don't even know what that means, because the market is stupid. I mean, why am I comparing myself to like some preconceived notion of what returns are? Because we've only been doing this 100 years. There is no
it's a really good point.
Success. Like, are you Elon Musk, or are you Donald Trump, or are you Bill Gates, or are you just Warren Buffett? There's a million ways to get to the end zone. Yeah.
It's a really good point, because 100 years, there's times when you hear 100 years and you think it's a long time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that long a time.
In a world where the technology is the future and software is eating the world, like why would past returns we didn't have the internet 20 years ago. We didn't have an iPhone until 2008. So you're going to tell me that like I should match myself to the S&P? That's ridiculous. You should only
really good point.
If you really think you're good and you're not beating the NASDAQ 100, you're not that good. Like the NASDAQ 100 is what the last 10 years, if you haven't beaten the NASDAQ 100, you should have been in the NASDAQ 100. So my index is the NASDAQ 100. And that's why Kathy at ARK Invest is popular. She beat that index.
Wow.
Really good point. S&P. And so what's the index of the future? When, nobody's good if you're comparing yourself to the DeFi index or the crypto index. Like I had a good year. I was up 60%. Well, screw you. I was up 80% in November.
Yeah. Because with Bitcoin,
there's always somebody doing better.
Yeah.
So the sooner you realize who you're supposed to be indexed again, and like really have like an honest conversation with yourself of what success is. And I'm a better mentor than I am an actual doer, as most of us become. It's easier to coach other people, for me, or mentor other people.
Yep.
And
I get that.
My own portfolio. We all suck. Like whether it's an interior designer that's great at helping you do your house, and then you go to their house and you go, what the fuck?
What the hell were they thinking?
There's no taste. So some people are very good at expressing this. People that make fun of coaches, and they make fun of people that sell trading systems. And I'm like, no, it just may be a basket case with their own money. It doesn't mean their system doesn't work. It just means they're really terrible at leaving the system alone.
Yeah. Yep. Good point. Good point.
So I'm always the person that's like, pay for mentorship. And as you know, 'cause I've talked to you so often about this, pay for coaching. You may have to switch coaches 10 times, but like that doesn't mean the idea of coaching is bad. It just means you haven't found the right coach. Yeah. And so like trading is a very lonely business. So Twitter improved my game tremendously, and then StockTwits, because it wasn't lonely anymore. And I got to talk to my people, not the people that I really couldn't reach in a crisis. Why should I listen to some person on TV who I can't reach?
It's true. It's true.
Versus, I'll go back to Asshat 45 who told me to buy this and see what he's doing right now.
Well, because it's a relationship. I mean, it may be superficial, but it's connection. It's a true connection with somebody.
Connection. It's just, you gave me the idea.
Yeah.
I took the idea. It's not your fault, but do you have an update on the idea? You don't even have that chance if you listen to CNBC. It's just some guy yells an idea and then you never hear from him again until they bring him back 3 years later out of context on his next idea and you don't know what he talked about the last time.
Exactly. So true. It's so true.
It was doomed. And the Robinhood was another example of where financial media just dropped the ball. A moment to educate, and they just hyped it and had false stories and fake news and bad takes.
It came across, that's when I think I was paying attention to the concept of the suits. That was the kind of energy that was out there. And even though I was talking to traders that were not going to be the Wall Street bet type traders, there was this us versus them, the little guy versus the big guy. And that is what, that was when I was like, okay, this could get a little bit messy. And I also thought CNBC is they're missing an opportunity here to onboard the next generation, but they're staying kind of blinded by this. It just felt like somebody just was like, it did feel like the suits. It did feel like you're talking to your dad who doesn't remember how it was when he was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know because I don't watch. I turned it off a long time ago, and now I've turned over my phone because the takes on the internet were just as bad. They wanted blood, and they started coming for people that were unrelated to the blood. And are you a suit? I haven't worn I'm a suit. There is nobody that's more a suit than me, I guess.
I don't think you're a suit.
No,
I don't think you're a suit.
Definition that the internet gave that day.
Yeah.
I was.
But that's a problem.
Lemon before they were born. So maybe I'm a suit because I wear Lululemon. I totally get it. It's just they had a lynching and they didn't even know who they wanted to lynch, and so it's just this moving target of a noose.
The man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the man. If you stick your head up during a mob event, you will get lynched. They won't. They just lynch you and go, oh, shit, wrong guy.
But you're not a suit, Howard. And I'm going to say that loud and clear because your way of operating and your contribution back to finance at large, never mind just to average regular people, is huge. And you're always wanting to educate people. And I never experienced you in all the years before I even got to meet you from this place of scarcity. You feel like people need to be coming. You've never given me the impression that there are people in it who want to hold on to it for themselves and feel like they're better than, smarter than, blah, blah, blah. You're like, let's educate. Let's get everybody involved in this. Let them become wise to what's going on here. That, to me, is a very different interpretation than I think the suits, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how wise they get in this game, it's like the Dead Sea. No matter how many times you hear the stories like, don't shave your armpits or your legs before you go in the Dead Sea.
I've been in the Dead Sea, so I can absolutely attest to that.
18-year-old girls the night before will shave their armpits. And it's like, wait, are you dumb? No, they're not dumb. They just don't know until they know.
Yeah.
And there's that old saying, now you know. And the markets, no matter how much you teach people, until they have money on the line, you don't really know. And it could be $5 or it could be $5 million. It's all relative. But until you actually have skin in the game and get cut, you don't know. So why are we not getting everybody on the system and take their $5 cuts or their $5 million cuts? Because that's the cost of getting on the system.
Right. Yeah.
But I see a world where this will all be 24/7. Trading nonstop as your income, paying your taxes, and assets all over the place and fractional ownership. So the faster we get people playing the game, the more productive money will move to productive areas. And we're seeing it in crypto. I'm trying to put this all together. We're seeing like, what? doesn't make sense to me. And now there's so much money on the other side that if you don't get involved, you're going to miss out on like some of the greatest, returns. Like the new index is not going to be the NASDAQ 100. It'll be some crypto index. And yeah, you don't have, but if you don't have exposure to that kind of growth and that kind of stuff, and you're like so focused on being in Vanguard, you really are going to miss things.
Yeah. So cryptocurrencies, explain, there's some criticism, Lucas had done some research too around that they get traded like stocks, but they don't function as actual currency. So do you see crypto as being treated as an actual currency eventually?
No, I just see crypto as a venture capital investment, and you could lose all your money and therefore invest in a different style as a venture capitalist would. You make instead of 3 bets, you make 10 bets, and instead of putting all your money on 3 things, you spread it over 10 things. But as a venture capital bet, some of those things will go down 90%. Whereas in the public markets, I'll stop. If I buy McDonald's, I'm not going to wait for it to go down 90%.
Yeah.
At 10, 15%, I'm going to reevaluate it because it's an up and running company, and I'm of sound mind. And if I'm making 10 venture bets, I just got to let them go for 3 to 7 years because you just can't, they're not efficient. You can't price them every day. So there's going to be all kinds of mispricing. And that's the way I look at, even though they're liquid, I look at cryptos. Like you got to give way more room. You have to do a little more research. You have to follow smarter people, a different group of people, and you have to have a bigger leap of faith and a little more diversification, unless you truly understand how those products work. You have the combination of new products, new software, plus a lot of inefficiencies because the liquidity is not the same and the amount of people playing the game is not the same. Mm-hmm. So I still treat those things like venture capital.
Okay, that's good.
You need exposure to that in order to have true alpha in your portfolio. And I think we're going away from this era of a 64. I've been talking about this forever. It's like, why the hell? Maybe lately with steep yield curve, but why the hell would anybody own bonds if they were retiring today? It makes no sense to me. Maybe 60-40 portfolio has been great for 30 years, and that is a long data point, but it's not a long data point in an era of software because a bond is stupid. An era where I can get, I can lend out my crypto for 6%. Meaning, even if I don't believe in crypto, if I can invest enough that I can, manage that volatility mentally and the risk, but also earn bond-like returns by lending it out. I mean, you gotta educate yourself, or you're just gonna be the sucker in the room, the last guy holding bonds. Like this could be a monumental shift if rates stay low and money is just given out forever, and we become this investing world. And no one has jobs. Their job is to just try and get a rate of return against the other person. It's kind of like a wild vision of the future. We're all just trading and because there's no real. We've got robots running, and we got food.
Exactly.
I haven't heard anybody say this, Howard, the way you're saying it right now.
Because people say it right now is like, why don't we give money? They're saying it as like a socialist thing.
Yeah.
They're saying, well, you're a socialist if you think we should hand out money to people. And I'm looking at it differently, saying, well, you're already a socialist. You have an iPhone. You got endless Netflix. You can date whoever you want. Your parents are paying the phone bill. You're already on your parents' health. You're a socialist. My kids are socialists. And they're not socialists because they've read up about Russia.
Or Marx, right.
They're socialists because they have an iPhone that's paid for by their parents. And they're on their parents' health care. That's a fucking socialist.
Yeah, it's true.
And so you can't blame them for thinking that the world should hand them
give them money.
But give us some money and leave us alone. And if we run out of money, we'll
give you a call.
So, and the same thing in our house. Like we made enough money where we're like, we have 2 choices: to give it to the government or give it to our kids. Most people are going to say, give it to their kids. But then you give it to the kids, and you go, why the fuck did I give it to my kids? Well, because we only had 2 choices. And not just I dislike my kids, I dislike the government more.
Exactly.
Basically, why you work so hard is you have 2 choices after you work so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why a lot of people just choose to have cats. They may be the happiest people in the
It's true.
Can't
I
give
don't
your
have
cats
cats.
money.
I don't have cats.
But my view of the future is a little more realistic, I think, than everybody else.
Yeah.
I
Well, it's
think so as well.
fascinating. It's
Yeah.
a fascinating perspective, and I kind of see that is possibly going to be that future. That's
Happening.
sobering.
Have you heard of COVID? Everybody's already doing
It's
that.
true.
Yeah,
It's true.
everyone's working from home, doing whatever they want.
They
Yeah.
go to restaurants and get on an occasional flight. This would be the happiest this country's ever been.
I know, it's true.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so we've really screwed up some things here because no one's really laughing at what's going on. This is really funny shit. But no one's had the time to really think about how bizarre this has been, but how close we are to nirvana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good point.
Give people some better tools.
Yeah. The tools and education. And education. And that's
It's
part of what
driving 2 hours to work.
Yeah.
Doing random stupid things with people that you dislike, and then driving home again.
Yeah.
Okay, like maybe some jobs should be like that. Not in the world we need to be honest and say we had tax laws designed to benefit commercial real estate people. And in the end, COVID laid bare that like commercial real estate is pretty much the stupidest thing of all time. Yet every tax law is written for people like Donald Trump and commercial real estate people.
Yep.
And now and want to tax people like me who have capital gains from being creatively moving money around. Again, maybe not efficient use of what we want people doing.
Yeah.
But I'm not building skyscrapers that have parking lots 10 rows deep that are really stupid in a post-COVID world.
Yeah,
about
I do.
a spot 10 levels down in like Toronto and New York is the dumbest. What did we do all that for? That's a landfill.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think all the big cities are grappling with that now. Even the big island of Hawaii is grappling with it because we're getting all those people are moving here now and, not driving with Aloha, and the whole culture, you can feel the cultural shift of that sense of escaping those, what's that movie from way back, the Mad Max? It's like they're leaving as though it's a Mad Max city.
It is a Mad Max city. Toronto, I keep talking about it. Toronto's one of the greatest cities of the world for the last 20, 30 years. No recessions because the real estate was strong. Guess what happened to real estate? And if you don't have another part of the economy and your weather's not that great and your government sucks, Toronto just became, in my opinion, a third world nation.
Yikes.
It's not nice to say it, but like, go to ask anybody that goes to a hospital in Toronto, or go talk to anybody what they think about Trudeau, or go to an airport in Toronto, which is empty, and go to the downtown corridor, which was built 2 square miles of underground businesses that won't come back.
Yeah.
You just took a great city and just gutted it.
Ugh. Yikes, yikes.
So yeah, your problems in Hawaii are a lot less worse than the problems in Toronto.
Oh, I know that. I'm not complaining.
I'm complaining, but like this is just the beginning, not.
It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning.
I
just see them
go back to normal. No, Zoom is phenomenal. Like,
yeah.
School is a stupid thing. Kids need to be in school, but Zoom for everything else, pretty damn good.
Yeah, look at us right now. This is awesome.
Exactly. It's so true.
It's too easy.
It's not that it's too easy. It's very efficient.
Yeah,
efficient for sure.
It ties in with the media that you have around you. Do your fucking homework. Go on LinkedIn. Find out what the person does. Be prepared, and Zoom will give you almost 95% of the satisfaction without the hassle.
Yeah.
Why would that go back to the other way?
Yeah.
Who's lying to who?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, if I'm 5 years old and I feel bad for those people. They need the FaceTime. They need to build a network. They need social skills.
For sure.
All for like the world going back to normal. Don't tell me what normal is going to be, because they're just full of shit. Like they don't have any clue what this. We've been locked down for way too long for things to go back to normal, and you have too much technology for things to go back to normal, and the technology that we have is too good for things to go back to normal.
Very true. Very true.
Because I like the new lifestyle.
Yeah.
I like my AirPods. I like
exactly.
I like no cable. I like no TV. I like bikes. You know what I mean? I like Trader Joe's. These are things that I wouldn't have liked. Trader Joe's is so much better. I can't believe I'm the first guy
Isn't it great?
Like, I'm now a Trader Joe's person. I used to think it was just for home, like the dirty grunt.
Hippies. I thought it was for hippies. Say it.
I've never been happier to be considered a hippie. Trader Joe's is phenomenal.
It's the bomb. Yeah. It's the bomb. I'm with you.
Like, in the future, I like my friend, but I like also just 4 restaurants. I don't want to discover a new restaurant and have a mediocre experience. I'd rather invite 2 friends over to my fake gourmet Trader Joe's food, which is better than most restaurants, and watch a Netflix show.
Yeah, for sure.
Or sit outside and have a cigar. Like, what do I need? Yeah, I do want to go to restaurants under the right circumstance with my right friend, but I don't need to go every night.
Yeah.
In fact, it's kind of dumb. So I think, I don't know, we're way off topic.
I'm gonna take us back to just everything you've done with social leverage, just all that comes up for you when you're considering an investment, especially because you're coming from it as an angel investor. Are there go-to questions that you ask yourself about the business? Is it gut instinct for you at this point? So a couple of questions there, and I have a couple more, but I'll stop there.
We're all different. Gary and Tom, my partners at Social, we have a unique partnership in that we all do different things, and we have very low ego because the goal is we actually get along pretty good. It's like a husband-wife thing. You know, you can fight over everything, or you can realize like what you watch on TV is not normal. And unless you have a therapist and truly understand, have some context of what a relationship is. So with us, our relationship is like we do really well together. And so we try and go with the flow. But our decision-making process is always based on the founder. We don't want to run the company. We are passive aggressive as anybody else would be, honestly. Like, we don't like losing. We don't like bad behavior. We hate slow thinking. But you write a check, you're backing people, and people change. Some people lock up the minute you give them the money that they've been asking for, and some people accelerate, right? Like,
wait, some people lock up after you give them the money?
Yeah, some people are great until they hit the ice.
Yeah,
some people are great in practice, and then you go into a game and you never hear their name, right? They're hiding in the corner. You don't know until you know. What we do is very risky early stage investing, and I think software's reduced the risk because you have scale and you have like the ability to have network effects. So it overcomes a lot of, founders are more, they can watch, they all think they can be Mark Zuckerberg because software works in a certain way and network and the internet work in certain ways. But even then you can't model the next Zuckerberg. So it's like, you don't know. So generally what it is you spend time with founders. You really hope. For us, it's like we really like to think that we could run the company if the founder, God forbid, was hit by a bus or had to leave for 3 months because they get cancer or have a family issue or whatever it is. You have to assume that you're going to be running the ship, and you don't want to run businesses. No. We're investors, but so we like to pick companies where if we, God forbid, had to step in, we would know how to do it, and that's something. The other thing is generally the founder. Like, can this founder, and a lot of it is just honest discussions. Like, okay, here's what we're going to do at Social Leverage. Mm-hmm. We're going to give you money because we agreed that you have a good vision and you know how to build a team. And the wire hits, and then we tell our founders, like, this is what we expect. So if you're lying to us now and you're conning us, we're all screwed. So let's take some time to really think, do you want to be in business with us for 7 to 10 years? And we're getting better at telling this story, which is like, hey, take our money, but understand, here's what we're going to do. We're not going to come run your business. We're going to get mad if you can't recruit and if you can't deliver the product that we're staring at, and you can't get 10 customers. Why are you taking our money? Yeah. The only thing we can do is if you deliver on those 3 things, build a team, finish this product, get your first 10 customers, we'll get you the money. We'll take that part of your job, and which is an important part of a CEO job.
Absolutely.
So our promise to our founders is you're not going to run out of money if you do these 3 things well. Now, we may find out that there's no market for this product. Yeah. We may decide to do other things. But if you get to this point, we don't have that problem. Social
Yeah.
leverage will do that job, and that's like an important job. Some people promise all the other stuff, and you can come in and you can hire our designers, and I don't want any of that. What's your competence? Can you deliver on this? If you deliver on this, social leverage will be a great financial partner for you. Oh, and by the way, we're good at like marketing, and we're good at, promotion, and we're shameless promoters, and you get all that for free no matter what, because we invested in you. We're proud.
Totally.
But try and like deliver on these three things, and then, and so we're trying to remove as much headwind from a founder so they can go fast.
Yeah.
But we also are getting better at telling, here's what you can expect from us. And if this doesn't align, why take our money?
Yeah. Yeah. And do you find now, because of the prominence of you doing this for so long, that you just have regular people like hitting you up via Twitter, hitting you up through LinkedIn? Where would the best place for people who are like, I check all those boxes that Howard just spoke about? Do you want to see them? Do you want people randomly telling you?
David, I want people to show up at my door without pants and say, Howard, I read Move Me. I know you don't like people. I want to pitch you. I just want to look at your door without pants, because I heard that's what you like.
With cigars in hand, maybe cigars.
I know what I'm expecting. It's a good question. I think what I'm expecting is, I know what I want, which is less stupid travel, to show up to less events, right? Like a show horse. And so I'm using media to represent how I want people to approach me. So I want people to hit me up on Twitter. I want them to smartly look at my bio and look at what I'm actually interested in. Don't send me a bio. Like, I'm trying to let people know, like, if you're going to send me a robotics deal, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I can't help you, because anybody I would send your robotics deal to that's in my network is like, well, what does Howard know about robotics?
Exactly.
Or referral from Howard. Like, come on. Like, I want people to use common sense. Like, if you have a great financial startup or an enterprise startup, or you love e-commerce, I could be your guy. But like, show some respect for my inbox. And but no one does, and that's part of the game. And you have to put up with some noise, and you try and be as nice as you can, because we have to create an environment where founders come to us. It's just too hard or it'd be dumb for us to continually be on a treadmill chasing deals around the world. Because part of the joy of being good at your business is to get flow coming your way.
Yep, for sure.
So our vibe is like, let's share, let's tell people our story, so that it reaches some vast corner of the universe where there's one kid working on this one particular problem, heard our name, and it's kismet.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So tell us about social leverage, and it's, now in the SPAC world, seems like there's a lot of upside for an average investor. Just talk a little bit about that and what you see are the pros and cons, perhaps, of SPACs, just in general.
Well, I mean, there's just so many pros. The cons is like any financial business. You got to look the eye of the promoter or the sponsor. Do I want to invest alongside that person? Just like we invest alongside a founder, we have to look that founder in the eye, because we're making up a number.
Yep.
We're betting that software is going to be important in 7 years, and then this product. So it's no different. A SPAC is kind of the same thing, except it's money, not a product. Meaning, if we hand this sponsor $200 million, will they be able to find a candidate for that money better than we could? Mm-hmm. And will that $200 million plus the company they buy be worth more than us doing it themselves? It's really that's a basic mathematical question combined with a lot of market dynamics, et cetera, et cetera. So I think SPACs are great. I never did think they were great until I studied them and realized the changes that had come along in the product, and market dynamics are like bringing down the fees and narrowing the spreads and lowering the warrants, and so the dilution is less to the founders of these companies. So it's just a market dynamic for us right now. It's it's going to cost the company 20 to 30% to go public, which is no different than what it would cost to a late stage venture capital round. And so it's up to founders to really understand how a SPAC works versus an IPO or versus a late stage private round. From our work as being early stage investors and as a founder myself, I wish I had a company growing fast enough that could be put in a SPAC today. Mm-hmm. Because I know I can hire a CFO and a chairman to keep the public side of running the business. Because I'm 55 now, I have a group to call on, and that's what our SPAC is. It's just a public company looking for a company.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I know the one replaceable piece of our public company is Howard Lindzon. No one wants me as their CEO, so there's not going to ever be an argument. I don't want to run your company. The first guy to parachute out of this and just be the cheerleader and someone to support the CEO is me.
Yeah.
So that's what SPAC can have different things. They could have a CEO that's in my role and that they want to take over the company and run it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're different. Everybody has a different agenda. Our agenda is to find a fast-growing company that doesn't really need much other than some capital, some public market help, and they want to be public because they have a currency to go do acquisitions and grow their market faster, and because of competitive dynamics. There's all kinds of things that would have to align for this to happen. I think the media's wrong take is that there's too many of them. Compared to what? What data point do they have? Again, this is like, why are they right? And I just went and raised $350 million. I know I'm as surprised as any person that I did this. But at the same time, that's the data point.
Yeah, exactly.
The data point
that's a pretty powerful data point too.
Yeah, like in 2 years, come back to me with the data about how many SPACs happened and what we did wrong, and there really weren't enough companies. But they didn't predict COVID media. They didn't predict the NASDAQ recovering fast. So they're going to tell me now that there's too many SPACs. Again,
all right. So Howard, you just spoke to how you really didn't see the SPACs as valuable, and then you did. Yeah. What do you attribute your ability to have an opinion, and then what happens that helps you change your opinion?
Yeah, that's a good question. So forgetting about having an opinion, no one has a stronger opinion than me. Meaning, I didn't just have an opinion. I was like, "You're a criminal." Like if I heard you have, like, hello. And then it's just because of my network and the fact that I have an open mind. And I was sitting at dinner with Adam Bain, I have great respect for, and he's an amazing entrepreneur and I guess financier. And he was telling me about his SPAC. They had done Virgin Galactic when we were having dinner, and he was telling me, and I was laughing. I'm going, "You idiots! Like if you can do this." He's telling it in such an elegant way. I'm like, what did I get? Like, this is genius.
Wow.
And he was telling me the good and the bad and the ugly, and that was in February of last year. So I went from being laughing at SPACs
in 1 year
to saying, well, if Adam can do it, and you just start doing work. And my partner Doug was there, and he was like, he's an ex-Goldman guy. He was like, "Oh man, we should drop everything we're doing and do this." And I'm like, "Well, let's just take our time." And here we are a year plus later, and I did one. But so it's like it took about a year to get me. Could you do it in a month? Yeah. But like, I don't decide things that quickly. It took me a year to finally, And it took me a year, and now everybody's telling me it's the top. So somebody's wrong. Either I am an idiot, and I'm open to that.
But I'd love that about you is your willingness to, you're not attached to your perspective. That to me is your secret sauce. If I had to put it in one thing, you're not attached. You're like, you look at the evidence, your ego doesn't get tied up in the evidence.
Yeah, most of the time. Of course, my ego gets tied up. That's why I manscape. Because there is some ego. It's hopeless ego.
But you know what I'm saying.
I'd be more attractive. No, I'm not. I'm just can't stand myself. So shaving me helps me keep it tolerable.
And still very punchable.
Like I said, I'm very punchable. Like just ask 10 people when you show this video, like, "What's your?" I can't stand Howard.
They'll immediately go to the audio version.
The audio version, they'll block you from ever. That's your fault. But what was the question? The question was...
the question, it was really a compliment. I just was acknowledging that your ability to change your mind and not like be attached to changing your mind or your ego.
Here's why I'm able to change my mind. This is why I'm so excited about the market. The only way you can learn to change your mind is to have price go against you for a consistently long period of time. So in 1999, my epiphany about the internet was that FedEx would go up. That's a fucking great idea. Like, why are the internet stocks going up? If e-commerce is going to work, FedEx should go up. And I was like mad every day because all these internet stocks would go up and everything in the old world that they were relying on was going down. I was so mad. I would just be yelling at my computer all the time.
Wow.
More FedEx. Like, these idiots are wrong. And internet stocks kept going up and I kept underperforming. And that's how you learn. You realize that you are not bigger than the market. And the sooner people learn that lesson, whether it's GameStop or whatever, that's a miracle. Do we want someone learning that lesson when they're 60?
No.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, how did I learn? I learned by being wrong a lot and letting the market just run me over time and time again until you said, wait a minute, wouldn't it be easier? I went with feed mayo to the tuna, like go with the flow.
Yeah.
And not that there's not great traders who trade against all that, but that's a crazy of your life. So I think the market's kind of
if you're willing to learn the lesson. All right, so we threw out that we were going to have you out on Twitter, and we have some questions. Lucas, would you make sure we ask these questions before we let Howard go? Thank you for being with us so long, Howard. I want to just answer some. We got some good questions, I believe.
Yeah, let me
I get to them quick right before I hopped on.
Well, one was on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard was it to raise the money?
It was if 10 is easy, it was 13. So I'm not saying that bragging. I'm saying like
it was just
more surprised than me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think that's what my handlers or my partners were chirping in my ear the whole time, including Adam Bain. Was like, oh, you're gonna kill this, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
About me? Have you not met Howard Lindzon? This is going to be, they're going to laugh us out of the room. The 13 based on my expectations, thinking it was going to be it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. And then another one, which I'm not sure if you can speak to, but which sector is your SPAC targeting right now?
The S1 says it, and that's legal. We obviously, I love financial services, but I just don't, I'm not as confident that, and the way I built our team around me is like we're the traveling Wilburys, right? Like we're old band guys and we have one hit left in us, Hey guys, after we manscape tonight, we'll get together around our Zoom and we'll come up with one more good idea. We can't do an album, but we can do a hit.
We can do a hit.
And so we think we can build a hit in commerce and build it. The companies are generally built, but we can accelerate an e-commerce enterprise company or a financial services company. I think, my gut is it'll end up, I don't know. Like every day I have different ideas and different CEOs that we're talking to, and we have a ton of ideas, and there is, contrary to what the media says, there is just a huge opportunity to be 500 to 1,000 more good public companies in the world that we're headed to. And does that mean they're going to be this year or over 10 years? I don't know, but I'm not worried about there being a target-rich environment.
Okay.
StockTwits. Tell us about StockTwits, the future of StockTwits.
Well, I'm really proud of that because it's been such a grind. So it's fun. I didn't enjoy most of it because I didn't know what I was doing, and we just made some mistakes, and you can't enjoy the whole ride. I'm enjoying this ride because I'm just laughing, and the product works, the team's good, the CEO's really good guy and really smart. He's hiring smart people. People are getting what we do finally. For years it was like we tell people what StockTwits is, and I would say, well, it's like Twitter, and people would go, well, what's Twitter? Well, you're not going to grow a business if your explanation for your business leads them to go, well, what the hell's that thing?
Yeah.
So we were a derivative of something. It was I just didn't do a good job. It's very hard to separate what people need to understand about your company versus now it's just people just get it. So
Yeah.
I'll just say, I don't know, just come try it out. Because there isn't, it's for people that love talking about stocks all day long. And our job is to let them do things within some boundaries of behavior. And we try and like control as little, but as much as possible. You have to behave a certain way. It's a privilege to be on StockTwits. It's not perfect, and we're going to make mistakes. And our risk is we kick off the next Elon Musk or Jim Cramer or Dave Portnoy because of their behavior. But in a perfect world, I would like to say if Donald Trump came to take a shit on StockTwits, he would last about an hour because we would send him back to Twitter, right? We wouldn't put up with all the drama because he's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So that's like a thing,
for
the
sure.
thing that we always had from the beginning, which is not good for growth, by the way. When you're kicking off,
Agreed.
when you're willing to kick off half the people, it's not really a venture capital type business. Twitter's business was like, you're a machine, or you're a terrorist, or you're a crazy person spewing lies, or if you're a hater, or if you're, you know what I mean? Come.
Yeah.
And people would complain. Twitter would act like, no, you use our product, and it worked. They're worth, I don't know, 70 billion. I love Twitter. So StockTwits is finally getting to that place, and so it's pretty fulfilling. It's growing really fast, faster than ever.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and a lot of it is just magic, like SPACs. Like if you told me that in February of 2021 that SPACs and biotech and value stocks and energy stocks, and Goldman Sachs, and it wasn't going to be FANG and the S&P, I would have said, no, I'll just stick with FANG. No. So I don't know. I think the key is trying to build stuff that people want to use and then stay out of their way. And I think StockTwits is doing really good at that.
What's another question you were going to ask, Lucas?
I was going to ask why I was checking it out, and Slack U, the SPAC, isn't on Robinhood.
I don't think Robinhood has a lot of it's unlisted in many ways because it's a unit. It's not fully. It becomes just Slack, and then the warrants trade on their own.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense.
So it will be on once it's
at full. Okay, I was just making sure it wasn't like a conflict of interest or something.
No. I think that Robinhood's doing their thing and being consistently avoidant of bulletin board stuff and unlisted securities. I think. I'm not fully sure, but I don't think they have any.
That makes sense. The warrants, yeah.
But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if they banned me and my ticker from it.
I don't think that's going to happen. But Howard, thank you.
It's their way of punching me.
Well, we all have to have a way.
You can't punch, so screw his ticker.
Thank you, Howard, for coming on. You educate all the time whenever you talk. So thank you for educating me and the listeners to this podcast. I'm really glad you came today.
All right.
I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Cheers.
Aloha. Bye.
Aloha.
Thank you, Howard. That was awesome.
That was great.
Well, I just want to give you guys a little bio about Howard Lindzon. He is the founder and managing partner of Social Leverage. He's got more than 20 years experience in the financial community, acting in both an entrepreneurial and an investing capacity. He has a really unique vision for starting, managing, and successfully advising innovative companies. Lindzon is also the public face of Social Leverage entities. And he also co-founded StockTwits, which is named one of the 10 most innovative companies on the web by Fast Company, and also known as one of the best 50 websites by Time. He invented the cash tag, and previously he created more than 400 original videos on Wall Street, which was acquired by CBS. Lindzon stepped down from his operational role as CEO of StockTwits in 2013 to to focus on the next phase of social leverage. And he, as acting chairman, Lindzon Connection to StockTwits, along with his hedge fund experience, gives social leverage access to a community of professionals who can evaluate fintech opportunities. And Howard also blogs at his own domain, howardlindzon.com, and that also is his Twitter handle. I have learned so much from this man over the past, really 15, 20 years when I started to pay attention to who I wanted my mentors to be in the finance world. And I've gotten to know Howard, especially over the last 9 months. And I just have to say, if you're a new trader or even a sophisticated trader and you want to understand the real epic size of the world of finance globally, you want to listen to this man. He is, and he shares in this podcast, his ability to change his mind is so incredible because he is always opening and listening, especially to people outside of his normal crowd. He's just always tuned in, and he's able to see things miles ahead of most people in this industry. I find a lot of people in finance, especially those who are above 40, have a tendency to get very kind of stuck and tunnel visioned. And I just find Howard, it's like he's a perpetual 25-year-old who's always looking for the new, improved version of things and not stuck in the way it's always been. So anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's fascinating. That's what I tweeted out today, was that he is a visionary, I think, because of the way that he can see things sometimes too far in the future. Like he said,
I agree.
Around with StockTwits,
yeah.
It's like Twitter, and people, that was when Twitter was just starting, and people are like, I don't know what Twitter is, and so
Yep.
It's always interesting to see what he's coming.
So quickly, and yet sometimes, like you're saying, it's almost like people aren't even fluent yet to understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
And that could kind of be a burden, I think, at times when you can see what the rest of the world can't see is coming.
Yeah.
But just his story about the SPACs and how he thought that was just so absolutely god awful, and now here he is in such a short amount of time with his own. It's amazing.
Also, his idea of what the future might look like. The only other person I've heard that has a similar idea was this really eccentric artist that I knew, and this was probably 10 years ago. And he was like, I don't understand why we don't have machines running the world, and so that we can all be more human and interact with each other and not just be stuck in this $7 an hour crisis that we're in, blah blah blah. And it was that really got me going with when Howard was speaking. I was like, it's fascinating, because I do think there's a lot of value to that too, in a possible utopian future. In a way, is we have these, we are building the systems that can keep us alive and moving forward, and we're just kind of coasting on it.
Yep, for sure. That, I feel like I've heard that concept that you're speaking about, that artist spoke to, but maybe in a different kind of context.
Sure.
But to hear him say what he said today around just the concept of all of us being investors, all of us potentially being traders, it's whoa, that I just have not heard that concept before. So
that is also an idea of capitalism, right? It's this utopian capitalism where we're all just bringing our best interest to, and buying low on our best options and selling them high. And so that's
absolutely
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So anyway, I hope that you enjoy this podcast with Howard, and I really strongly advise. He also, I would sign up for his newsletters because they're short and straight to the point, but God, you just get educated so quickly in 1 or 2 paragraphs in ways that I don't know that's really out there. So one of the most important newsletters, I think, to sign up for, and it's daily. He does it daily. So 5 days a week. Pretty close to daily. Anyway, thank you for watching. And thank you, Luke, because this was a lot of fun today.
That was great.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah. All right. We'll see you the next time. Hopefully. Oh, and we're having March Madness, right?
We're calling this March Madness. We're calling interview every week.
Exactly.
No more 2 weeks.
That's right. We have the entire month of March with podcasts because we are so lucky to know such amazing human beings and really smart human beings that we feel are going to be a contribution to you, your life, and your trading. So I hope you guys have a great March. Be good to yourselves out there and take care of each other. And we'll see you on the next episode of The Wall Street Coach. Have a great day, guys.
This has been the Wall Street Coach Podcast with K-Man Curtin. You can find out more about her and her team online at thewallstreetcoach.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving a 5-star review on iTunes. Thank you for listening.